Booker scoops it up. Booker brings the boom.
Hardwood show's back, baby. You guys thought we'd forget you because we didn't do it in the morning, but we didn't. I told you I was working behind the scenes, and I found someone to come hang out with me, talk a little hoops for Game 4, my guy Rubio Dimes. And again, unconfirmed reports that possibly Big T could join us at some point from the golf course. Not like literally from the golf course, but like he is finishing up his round as we speak. I just talked to him a couple minutes ago, and he said that he's only got like a hole or two left. So if he can get on, he will. But he's got to finish up his round, and then we'll see if we can get the big guy on to get his thoughts for Game 4. But I got the man, Rubio Dimes, who's I think so far this finals, and Rubio, correct me if I'm wrong, but you shipped 2 of the 3 slates so far, right?
Yeah, games 1 and 2. I locked SGA captain both games, right? And then last game I had 2 captains, JSU. I had SGA and I had Benny Matherin as the other captain, and I did not ship. So I had the optimal captain.
How in the world did you not have that Benny Matherin team?
You know why? Because I only did it at 5% clip because I still really wanted to commit heavy to SGA. I had 5% Matherin captain, and I've been doing the Sims still. Which when you lock SGA, it doesn't matter a ton, right? You're going to end up with the best 150 teams. You're going to still end up with dupes. What it did for my Matherin teams is it was very, it was trying to be unique, right? It had like Shepard over like McConnell and stuff instead of just the true winner, which I know our guy JBC had and stuff. I know he was up there. It was a 16K chop. I mean, I think each time it's been a 16K, a 15K, and a 16K chop each game. That's
interesting. I think, I don't want to spoil things for Saber, but I think down the pipeline, they might be having something, some update to fix your scenario there that you were just talking about. So, yeah, Saber Sim, obviously the Sims are awesome. But just wait, they're going to be having an update, Rubio. I was just on a call with them yesterday, and they were telling us about it. And it seems like it's going to be good. So, yeah, that should be coming in the next few weeks. But yeah, that's what happens sometimes, right, Rubio? You get like you want to be unique, right? You got this Benny Matherin team, and like if you were just like building it, and I said to you like, all right, Rubio, last spot or like TJ or who was the guy you had? I forget.
I had Ben Shepard as part of my best.
Yeah,
team
like no one is picking TJ over Ben Shepard. It's probably not even like a Discord. We get like a bunch of random Discord like 2v2s and stuff. We wouldn't even get that in the questions because people would be like, yeah, no, like TJ over Ben Shepard. I'm doing that 100 out of 100 times. Now, it was funny because Ben Shepard kind of got off to a hot start.
He kind of crushed too. That was the thing. Like if you would have told me 11, I would have been like, all right.
Wait a second. So he got like 10 something or 11, whatever he got, but he got most of that, I think, in like the first stint.
He was the first guy off the bench for him.
He didn't do like shit towards the end, it felt like, but he had a couple steals and I hit a shot and he did a few things and I was like, oh crap. But in the end, like you said, he's friggin' awesome. I love watching TJ McConnell. He reminds me in just so many ways of watching like JJ Barea, even though they're still different, but like it's the same grit. It's the same toughness you need to be like that size and play in the NBA. So I enjoy watching TJ. He lights up the crowd too. I mean, no one lights up the crowd more than TJ McConnell getting an offensive rebound, bro. Seriously, like it's the best thing ever watching him get offensive rebounds.
100%. And it's funny that you bring up JJ Barea because a lot of comparisons to this Pacers team because the last long shot to kind of win an NBA title was kind of the Mavericks that year, right? Was that 2011? So you have a lot of JJ Barea. You have, obviously, what TJ McConnell did off the inbound. I mean, how lazy can OKC be to let TJ McConnell just hand him the inbound 3 times in that game, including in one of the fourth quarter, which was just absurd to me.
Bro, I'll tell you right now, as a little guy, nothing's better than getting an offensive rebound. Like nothing is better than getting an offensive rebound. You can see it when TJ gets the board. because he's fired up. That's why the crowd gets so fired up, because there's literally nothing better than you're out there with guys that are 6'10", 6'8". They're all way taller than you, and the ball just lands right in your hands, and you like jump just to make it look like you needed to jump to grab the board when it fell right in your hands, but you do it anyways because like you want to be like, yeah, like I got it. So yeah, it's definitely awesome watching him. But yeah, Benny Mathurin was the story. I see some people in here. IPT said I had SGA captain with TJ and Benny locked. Cash,
yeah, I like that.
Ups. Yeah, I mean, it's showdown. Like at the end of the day, you could still cash, even though SGA didn't give you the performance you were looking for at captain, right, Rubio? You could still cash if you obviously locked TJ and Benny, like two of the best plays on the board. And we did talk about how the Pacers on our last showdown show, me and Big T were talking about, those cheap like bench guys were just underpriced, right, Rubio? It was just way underpriced, and we'll get into the pricing, but they definitely changed it a little bit.
Yeah, inflation hit hard on OKC in Game 3, right? That was the biggest thing, is that even though the Pacers were dogs, there was a lot of questions in the chat that was, can we do 5-1 Pacers tonight, right? And obviously the one being SGA, and it was like, I don't want to do that. I didn't want to do any 5-1s this series, even in OKC blowout scripts. Like guys like Caruso, Cason Wallace, Lou Dort might not even play that much in the fourth quarter, while Carlisle has been more open to letting like Mathurin completely run the show in the fourth quarter in garbage time, right? The 5-1s, became a debate toward the Pacers side, but it still was another thing that you kind of just wanted to get away from. I want to ask you this, because I don't think a 5-1's in play today. The pricing completely shifted. Okay. So what you kind of have is you still have Turner, you still have Nembhard in kind of the middle of the pack there. Chet's price didn't change much. You do get a slightly inflated Caruso who kind of swap places with Nesmith. Nesmith goes down into 5.8K. His minutes have been probably the most inconsistent this series. He had a very solid, couple games there. I mean, even the Knicks series that we all know what he did in Game 1. And like in Game 1, too, against OKC, and even last game, he hit some clutch threes. His price, though, at 5,800 is kind of, I think, where it belongs, right? I want to ask you this. Do you think Caruso slides into that starting lineup today? Because let's be honest here. I mean, OKC had their backs up against the wall against Denver, right? And we saw them squirm away, right? They were able to kind of punish Denver. They had injuries. MPJ got hurt. Aaron Gordon hamstring. You had Russell Westbrook with a broken hand. They were able to out-physical you, and they didn't really need to adjust. By Game 7, OKC was almost double-digit point favorites and stuff in every game they played. I honestly think Diagonal might make a change tonight, and that could be with Caruso slotting into the starting lineup, which the reason why I bring that up is because Cason Wallace's price at 3.8K may look good right now if he's starting, but it also might just get lumped into the Mathurin McConnell group of guys coming off the bench. And I think Cason Wallace could very well be a candidate to come off the bench here today. But other than that, I mean, our popular clip, Ben Shepherd's going to be a popular clip, 2K, right? Wiggins' price still slightly inflated. Isaiah Joe's going to get minutes. I mean, Thomas Bryant and Kenrich Williams are not guarantees to see the court. I mean, it's interesting. I think DK did a really good job pricing this slate. I think SGA is getting into that price point now where it's like, okay, you have to debate him being captain or not. He was terrible last game, and we'll talk about that.
And he was bad, but you know that the optos are going to they're going to adjust to that, right? So they're not going to want to give you as much. Like I noticed it, like I didn't touch anything, and we'll do it on the show. We'll do like a run on Saber. We'll kind of go through all the ranges, then we'll do a little run on Saber and see what it gives you. But I noticed it when I did my first run, like it was hardly giving me SGA captain, and that was with me not touching anything. I didn't move anyone's projections up or down or anything like that. And I just noticed like it was giving me more like mid-tier and cheaper captains. And I think it's because of what you talked about. They raised the price tag on some of the value plays that we've been using for most of these Pacers guys. And it was definitely the right move. I agree with you. It makes the slate a lot tougher, especially because this is the first time we've seen it, but we saw Carlisle, okay, I'm barely playing Thomas Bryant. Like he's getting a minute here, a minute there. One time it was just like a defensive purpose, like in and out type of switch. And then they did like the Miles Turner was coming in coming out, and Obi was coming in, and then Pascal was coming in, and then Obi was coming out. And they were just kind of swapping those three bigs in and out. So that does help those guys, but now they've also raised the price on some of those guys. Obi Toppin's $5K. He's not 4K anymore. That's a difference right there, Rubio. And I don't know. I wonder what his ownership's going to be at, because when people see him at $5K, it's definitely tougher, because you're starting to get into the starters range. You know what I mean? What the starters are priced at. Aaron Nesmith's 5.8. So he's right there. That's going to be a big discussion. But I do think that, that's the big difference on the slate, is where do we find that value if we want to go star captain at the top? Because I think you're going to need one value guy that you can at least talk yourself into. Game 2, it was Wiggins. Game 3, it was Mathurin. I don't know if there's an easy answer to that question, though, in Game 4. That's the problem with this slate.
And I think a lot of people will gravitate toward, Shepherd, right? Because Andrew Black mentions here, I have so much Shepherd tonight. That's going to be the most natural thing. First guy off the bench for the Pacers last game. I think he checked in with 8 to go in the first quarter, which, if you're just playing minutes in 2K, that's all you need. Oh, I could be out there for 12 minutes. You probably click my name for 1K, because one fantasy point could be the difference between shipping and not shipping tonight. And that's going to be a reality that we face tonight, JSU, depending on how well SGA plays. If SGA has a ceiling game and all of a sudden gets 70 fantasy points, and Halliburton, Jalen, and Siakam don't get within 25 of that, well, SGA is going to be optimal captain no matter what, and that could be with a 0. And we have seen that before. And honestly, it's going to be a very kind of interesting topic. I think I'm with you. I still want to captain SGA, because the difference between his ceiling and everyone else's ceiling is so stark, except for Halliburton, who hit that last game. That ceiling last game, 29 and 11. It was very, very impressive, and I didn't have any captain, and he still wasn't the optimal captain because of how well Mathurin played, which is crazy.
Yeah.
But I do want to ask you this too before we completely dive in. OKC down 2-1 against Denver, right? This is about a month ago. They didn't really make a move to the starting lineup, right? But because the double big was so successful against Denver, and this is a complete different team, right? The Pacers are a completely different team than the Nuggets. But what we did kind of see was Jalen Williams got off the bench a little bit more, right? Diagonal made an adjustment. He played Jalen Williams, with a Y, the big man, a little bit more, right? Who is that guy who's going to be 1K who gets off the bench tonight for OKC? Because it might not be Kenrich Williams, but could you see, not that I think I'm going to support it or anything like that, but could you see Diagonal go Galaxy Brain like he did in Game 1, where he brought AJ Mitchell off the bench for a few minutes?
I don't think so. I like your take on the Caruso. I think Caruso's a good person to buy into tonight. I could see Case and Wallace's minutes maybe go down even a little bit more if he doesn't start right, and some of those minutes just kind of go to Caruso. I mean, we saw that last game. He went from 27, 28 minutes in games, 1 and 2 to 32 minutes in Game 3. And I wouldn't be shocked if it went to 35 minutes in Game 4 if they started him, right? So those minutes are coming from somewhere. And we talked about it. Me and Big T talked about it with Aaron Wiggins. We didn't like Aaron Wiggins last game. We said it's a bad play. He's not going to get 21 minutes. He's not going to shoot 5 for 8 from 3. This game is on the road. It's not at home. These guys normally play better at home than on the road. And what happened? Aaron Wiggins played 10 minutes, shot 0 for 2. And that was that. You didn't see much from Aaron Wiggins. We also talked about Isaiah Joe. If it's not a blowout, it's not an Isaiah Joe game on the road. And Isaiah Joe played 3 or 4 minutes, Rubio, right? And I think they tried him out because they needed someone to hit a shot, and he did hit some shots. It just, that's the way it happens sometimes. He still played 4 minutes, though, is the point, right? Ben Shepherd's going to play 12 minutes at least, probably, something like that. And with the foul trouble that, Nembhard can possibly get into, you never know with Ben Shepherd, because Ben Shepherd's the one that gets the minutes uptake if, let's say, Nembhard gets an early couple fouls, right? Because they're going to want him in there for defense. So those are all the questions that you kind of need to ask, because I just don't see it. I think Kenrich is the answer to your question, because why? He's 1K flat. That's why.
It goes into the point now. Like, if, for the sake of an exercise, I know that you guys run lineups at the end of the show, right? And you kind of see what's popping, what's not. This is a really good slate. And I always do this for every slate I play in Showdown. If you just went into optimizer mode, put a 0.01 projection on a guy, because if they're 0, they might not pop on they might not even be registered in the optimizer, right? But if you put 0.01, if they're hitting one of those top 10, top 20 lineups, that tells you a lot, right? And SGA captain, where let's say he did really just have a ceiling game tonight, which if you're the MVP, he's not better than Jokic or anything like that, but if you're the MVP, you got to step up down 2-1 as a minus 500 favorite in the finals. Like, you just got to. And before we get into the individual players and stuff, we were talking about how different style these teams play, right? Obviously, the Pacers being offensive, Thunder being really strong defensively. This is the first time OKC's had their ass kicked. And I'm not saying like just pure basketball. This is the first time the Pacers are beating them up. They're the faster team. They're the more physical team. They're in the fourth quarter playing 100%. Meanwhile, SGA is sucking air. You have Chet, who's just completely winded. You just have an OKC team that looks defeated by the fourth quarter. And this has been the theme with every single Pacer series, JSU. They come in, and we all say the same thing. Man, this is an incredible run, but hey, they shouldn't win tonight. They're up 2-1, right? The Cavs are a better team. They're a 65-win team. And all of a sudden, the Cavs just beat the hell up, and they lose the game 4, right? You go to the Knicks series. They go in. They're beat up, and they end up losing that series. And it's just incredible to me. The Pacers story has been the same, and it's because of the same thing to every team happens. They get gassed out by it.
Yeah, I thought that, honestly, and I'll own it. I thought that this series was going to be over in 5. I thought it was going to be a 4-1 OKC series. I was totally wrong there. Yeah, I was definitely wrong there. But the point is that even with this Pacers team, I think the problem with them, I talked about it a little bit on the last show, but just to reiterate it, what OKC does is they go on these runs, Rubio, where they're just turning you over constantly, creating the defense into offense, transition points, and they really demoralize teams when they do it. And they'll go on big runs, 14-0 runs, where you're like, that just happened really fast because they're young and they get up and down the floor when they turn you over. That doesn't phase this Pacers team. It happens to them, but they don't care because they know that at the end of the day, they can shoot themselves back into a game. They can run themselves up and down the floor back into a game. And they've done it constantly in this playoffs, where you're you count them out, they're losing, there's 2 minutes left, they're down double digits, and then what happens? They win. And you're like, how the fuck did they win? And we say every time, like you said, okay, the Pacers shouldn't win this game, but they just keep winning games that they shouldn't win. So at the end of the day, are we just wrong for saying that they shouldn't win the game? I mean, what are the odds when you're down 10 with 2 minutes left? They're massively against you, right? In that situation, but the Pacers just always seem to never be dead. And that's the thing with these Pacers. So I shouldn't count them out. I'm done counting them out and they might get blown out one of these games. I don't think it's going to be at home, but maybe one of these games they get blown out and they just shoot terribly. And it's because, they kind of rely on a ton of role players to have big games. Let's be honest. That's the other thing. This is one of the few teams where you can rely on multiple role guys on any given night to get it done. Game 1, it's Obi Toppin. Game 3, it's Benny Mathurin. TJ McConnell's been awesome in this series. Pascal Siakam's been absolutely rock solid for them. What do you want? Andrew Nemhard's done as good as you can do, I guess, on SGA. Honestly, what more do you want from these guys? And that's with Tyrese Halliburton having so-so games for 2 of the 3, but he hit a big shot in one of them, but still, he had so-so games besides that big shot.
And they still win. It's, an incredible story. And if anyone's hating on it, it's the best basketball series. I love that Nuggets Thunder series. Obviously, Game 7 was a dud, right? But that was incredible basketball. You had the conference finals, which were kind of disappointing to me overall. I thought the Knicks Pacers was fun. Pacers making those comebacks and stuff. But this has been just incredible first 3 games. And I think this is the fire all the bullets in the chamber game, for both teams, because I think the Pacers know if it goes 2-2, their chance of winning the series are like really, really bad. And if the Thunder go down 3-1, it's the same thought. They got to have this game at home.
And I do wonder, does that make both teams tighten up a little bit more? I mean, we've kind of already saw it last game. So do both teams because if you're the Pacers, you're like, man, if we take this game, we don't even need to win in OKC. Like, we can come back. Even if we lose the next game, we can come back home. And then if we lose that, we know we can win if we have to go to a game 7. We've already done it in OKC. So, like, man, you just wonder, like, how does Rick Carlisle play it? And, you know what I mean? And Rick Carlisle is a very wild card type coach. He is a good coach. He's a maddening coach for regular season DFS because he just does really whatever the fuck he wants.
You can't argue with him because he's Rick Carlisle.
He has that Popovich in him, though, right? Like, he has that where he just, like, Popovich don't give a fuck, and Rick Carlisle doesn't either. He'll pull his best player. He'll pull his second best player in favor of the 11th guy on the bench.
Well, just think like Siakam last game. Yeah, Siakam last game, the fourth quarter, didn't get a full load, right? Because it was like he was right in the hot hand of Mathurin, Toppin, McConnell. He rode that bench.
Siakam, they rode him early in that game, too, was the funny part. That was the funny part of the whole thing. But he does ride with the hot hand, and you can see it in the minutes, right? Siakam's minutes, like, you can kind of see it. Like, he doesn't always get the big minutes here, but he has been really consistent. So let's get into these players. I hope people enjoyed our little rants here, but that's why they're ready to play now. Yeah, this is, must-win game for teams tonight. Yeah, I agree. And I think we see it that way, Rubio. That's why when we get into these players, I think we got to be more realistic on how tight, even a team like OKC, who doesn't normally play as tight in a situation and same thing with the Pacers in their situation. So it's definitely going to be interesting, but let's go top to bottom. I got Saber up here so we can kind of adjust things, Rubio, as we go. Let's start at the top where SGA is just massively priced ahead of Tyrese Halliburton by like over 2K on DraftKings right now. You got SGA, Tyrese, and Jalen Williams in that 10 and up range here, and then Pascal just under them. Let's do this, Rubio. Let's go because SGA is on a tier of its own. You already said you want to have SGA captain. I definitely want to have some SGA captain because I agree with you. Tyrese is going to have his ceiling games, but he's going to have some floor games too. And they're very hit or miss. SGA, his bad game was last game, I feel like. That was his bad game. I definitely feel like he's going to have a better game than that. I want to have some SGA captain. This is a must-win game. He's going to, I think, at least try and put the team on his back from that standpoint, right? And try and, force it a little bit more. He took 20 shots last game. 1 for 3. He only got to the line 6 times. I will be stunned if he doesn't get to the line double-digit times tonight, if he doesn't take 25-plus shots tonight, and just be ultimately more aggressive in general.
Yeah, I mean, what last game kind of looked like the first quarter, he kind of took a backseat to Chet, which I thought was the right move, right? If you're SGA, you get a hot Chet. He was incredible that first quarter, 12 points, I think 4 rebounds or whatever. And ended up shooting 6 for 15. Ended up having a really poor last 3 quarters. Or even the last 2 quarters, he was really bad. I would say
it's wild because if you watch that first half, you were like, "Oh my God, Chet's crushing. I'm dead if I don't."
And he ended
have
up with
Chet.
a 20 and 10. So my favorite thing, like that's why I had a mediocre. I didn't have a mediocre. I had a bad game 3, right? Because I was low on Chet too. I was hoping that Mathurin lineup would carry me to the top, but I was very heavy on SGA captain. Obviously underwhelmed. You had Halliburton go off and stuff, but I was really low on Chet. That's not going to change tonight. Like I don't see it with him, and I don't. And here's the question with Chet and stuff too, is like, is he the right man for this series almost? Because it feels like the Pacers are completely okay with Chet doing whatever he wants in the offensive end. Like, hey, if you want to take those stupid shots, do it.
Why wouldn't you though?
Yeah.
I mean, I think that other teams have tried to make Chet be the guy. It's just like SGA is he's so tough to stop. It's so hard. But yeah, Chet's gonna when you play with SGA and J-Dub, and I think teams are going to not be okay, but like someone's gonna have to. You're gonna have to give it up to someone, and I think they're okay with it being Chet. Just like I think on the other end, OKC's okay with giving up those stupid mid-range twos that Pascal Siakam just always hits, but they're tough twos. He's always fading away. But he's bigger than the guys, and he's shooting those like rainbow twos over them. You're okay with them shooting that, and I think it's similar with both bigs right there. But man, like 38 in that game is wild because he got off to such a hot start. Like you said,
like he had to be the optimal captain there for a while. Like it really felt that way, right? And I know that you're kind of segueing it from SGA and stuff, but like, the reason why SGA had a poor first quarter, in my opinion, is because he was trying to let the others get into a rhythm. I don't think that happens tonight, JSU. I think SGA is
letting the others get into a rhythm. Even J-Dub, like he knew J-Dub had a couple bad games in a row. So yeah, he was definitely trying to let them get into. That's what I'm saying. That's not going to happen tonight.
And game one told us a lot too. People can say whatever they want. Oh, SGA, this, SGA that, right? And SGA cares about what other people say about him, and he does. And I think in game one he showed that. He showed. I'm not going to say true colors because I do think that most of the shots were okay and stuff. But he took 30 shots that game, right? He only had 38 points. Yeah, I think he went 14 of 30 that game. Last game he shoots 20 times, right?
Wait, did you say only had 38 points?
Well, when you shoot 30 times, you better have 38.
I'm just saying that you said only 38, Rubio. You go out there and shoot 30 times. I guarantee you ain't getting no 38.
I think I'm getting.
You
10.
might not even get 8.
I'm getting 10. All right, calm down.
You are not getting 10.
If I exaggerate the contact like he does, like there was a point in time last game where SGA had a complete dive, and it pissed me off that Doris Burke's like, that should have been a foul. Like, shut up, man. Like, come on.
I can't believe you just said you'd have 10 points in an NBA game if you shot the ball 30 times.
You gave me 30 shots.
I can't believe you just said that out loud.
You gave me a green light and 30 shots, said I had to shoot that ball 30 times. I'm getting 10 points.
Yeah, come on. I don't know if anyone's seen Rubio play basketball, but Rubio Dive says if he got 30 shots in an NBA game with NBA defense on him, not even SGA defense either, just like normal.
Who's guarding me? Who's guarding me, JSU?
Anyone you want. Anyone from the other team. Like anyone from the Pacers or OKC. I don't care who it is.
Can I get a washed Isaiah Thomas? Can I get a washed Isaiah Thomas? The Boston one.
Dude, he would rough you up so bad, you'd be crying.
I'm getting the hook shot on him. I can hit 5 hook shots out of 30. I can get 5.
Get the fuck out of here. Hopefully Big T's watching right now and laughing at you. 30 shots, you'd get 10 points? No shot.
With Isaiah Thomas guarding?
I watched you brick over brick against Mangone. If you're bricking that much against Mangone, then you ain't getting no 10 points in an NBA game.
Mangone's got a good hip. Isaiah Thomas doesn't.
He's got a good hip. I don't know. Mangone's got like a bad leg. Mangone's
You're right about that. Yeah. His days of playing ball might be over.
Yeah, I think his days might be coming to an end. But all right, back to the game. So you were saying about Chet. Yeah. I assume you wanted to get down into that range, even though are you putting Halliburton in the range with like J-Dub, Pascal, Chet?
So my whole thing was like when we were talking about SGA just kind of deferring, and like he's not going to do that this game. And you're in agreement, right? And you're talking about the same thing that I was talking about. And it's if we don't think he's going to defer, what's the ownership at captain look like, right? What's the ownership on an SGA captain look like? So I'm going to pull up last game, JSU, because I didn't really remember this number. Did you have an idea of what SGA was owned at the captain last slate when prices felt kind of high?
I'm gonna guess here 25%.
All right. So he was 42% in game 2. Last game, he was 37%. Okay. I think he gets into that 25%, 20% range this game. And I want people to ask themselves, like, if you're getting the MVP of the league at 13-8 with a performance, do you think he can get 20 more than the next guy? And if the answer is yes, you got to play him at captain. I think that's the end of the story. If you were to get 60 and the next closest guy is at 39, like games 1 and 2 were, SGA is going to be the optimal captain, and only 20 to 25% of the people are going to play him at captain. I'm tempted to lock, JSC, because I've been aggressive in the 150, and this is why, like, if Tony doesn't run the Sims and he runs the optimizer mode, right, we still end up on the same teams because it's really tough to have 151st best SGA team.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
And
And at that point, you don't want to like mess around and have like the weird outs where you didn't have the winning captain when you locked. And that's happened to me before. I know that's happened to other people too, where you get aggressive with, like, let's say a captain, and then you look at the end of your team at the end of the night and you're going, how did I not have the winning team?
that's kind of how I was with Benny
Because
Mathurin.
like you said, it's like TJ over the shitty player, but you had the shittier player and not TJ, and it was duped, 10 more times maybe, or 15 more times maybe, but it was still costing you like 15K at the end of the night or something. And you're just like, what the hell? And that happens all the friggin' time. So if you are aggressive like that, don't do that. You don't have to be aggressive and then aggressive again trying to get cute while you're being, you know what I'm saying? Like, just let it run once that happens. Just let it run. Do the normal, like, projected score mode and let it give you the best teams.
Exactly. Especially if you're going to be aggressive like me tonight, right? With SGA captain. It's like, there's no getting cute there. I mean, you could literally play the top 150 teams. You're probably going to end up with the top 150 sim teams. And SaberSim doesn't love the ROI on some of those teams, and because it's a chop, right? I mean, obviously it's because of the possibility of a chop. But at the end of the day, to me, it's one of the best routes, and I have a hard time seeing Halliburton repeat that.
Where are you projecting SGA at? Because right now we've got them. RPS and Saber are pretty much online with our projections right now. 57.2 is the RPS projection. What are you doing? Are you keeping him there? Are you bumping him?
I'm going to bump him up. But the thing is, like, it doesn't matter what I do if I'm hitting a lock button, right? Because at the end of the day, like, the projection.
I'm just saying though, if you're not hitting the lock button,
I think 65. And people might say, "Oh man, that's a hefty one." If he gets 40 real points, which I think is very much in the cards, and I am going to bet that individually, it's just 40 for SGA. He is going to get 65 because he does enough with the rebounds, the assists, the stocks.
I mean, it's just 40 points, SGA. Like, come on, dude. It's game 4 of the NBA Finals. Rubio scored 10 with 30 shots. You better get 40. All right.
Yes.
I just put him at 61, Rubio. I think 61. I was gonna put him low 60s. I gave him a 4. We can give him a 5. We can give him a 5-point projection jump. We'll go to 62. All right. I think that's fair. That's right in the middle. Tyrese Halliburton sitting at 43. We're pretty even with Saber and Rump here right now, 43-ish. Are you touching that projection? Are you moving him down, up? He has been kind of like either in the 30s or the 50s a lot of the last few games.
He asserted himself very nicely last game, right? And I really think highly of Halliburton. I think anyone who speaks lowly of him or says, "Oh man, his game 2 was horrendous," he looks for others. And last game was impressive. And you know what he did? And he's doing this in each game is the rebounds. I don't know if you're noticing, JSU, but it's like every time he's hitting that defensive glass, he's pushing forward. And that's not something that he just decided to do. I guarantee you Carlisle's like, attack that glass. We got to beat this team in transition because when we go against a half-court defense of the Thunder, our chance of scoring go way down. I think him hitting the glass.
It's the Luka.
Yeah, the Russell Westbrook.
Russell Westbrook. It's the cut out the middleman of the outlet, right? Because when a big gets a rebound, they're looking to outlet to the point guard or the guard, and then they push it, right? And so it's kind of cutting that out because nowadays your point guard is like 6'5", or they're super athletic like Russell Westbrook, or they're, super big like Luka Doncic, who's like 6'8" and like big too, like big bodied, can like get a board, and he's like sitting under the rim, right? So you want your point guard to go for the ball, so you cut that out, and that's what the Pacers are doing a lot when Halliburton's getting the ball. And I would venture to bet that their record's pretty good when Halliburton's getting like 8+ rebounds.
I mean, in games 1 and 2, he got there in the fourth quarter, right? In game 1, he wasn't optimal. Game 2, he wasn't optimal, but he came very, very close. Last game was the first complete game that he had. But it should be just noted, like I kind of want to put him 20 below SGA. So just for the sake of an argument, JSU, like if we got him to 42, because this matchup is still a nightmare. Daigneault's not going to sit on his hands and let Tyrese Halliburton cook like he did last game, because we saw what happens, right? Obviously, the bench had a huge performance, like, right, what McConnell did, what Matherin did, what Toppin did and stuff. But he's still going to come up and, just chop the head of the snake off. And I think that's what they're going to do. I mean, you saw it in games 1 and 2, Halliburton struggled. This is a really tall tag for him, right? 11-4 is a tall tag for this matchup. And all season, OKC has limited opposing guards in an extreme way. I'm going to be slightly lower on him, JSU, but I completely X'd him out in game 1, right? I completely X'd him out, and it worked out. But damn if I do that again, because you saw what the upside was.
Also, though, when you pay up for SGA and the captain, it definitely makes it tougher because you can really only spend up for like one other guy. Yep. So, and the question is, could J-Dub outscore Hallie? Could Pascal, who, like I said, he had a good game. He lost some run. He had 40 fantasy points, I think is what we exactly projected him for.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I'm going to probably put him in that like 40 range again. He lost minutes and had 40. And I get it. He was really good early, but he still lost run and got 40. So I want to bump him up. J-Dubs to me is the question mark. Do we go up or down on Jade or stay in the 41 range? That's the question for me.
Well, so, let's just, think logically here, right? We're very high on SGA. I think what this is going to do is it's going to have us hinder a little bit of Jalen, a little bit of Chet. And I think just for the sake of the script, right, we bump down Jalen to like 40.5. Like, if you want him higher than, Pascal, we can do that. But I'm with you on Pascal. This is like, if Halliburton gets cut off, right, Siakam's been the guy who's kind of picked it up. He was optimal in games 1 and 2. Last game was optimal as well. He's been optimal in all 3 games. And his price, is now very similar to Jalen. I think in other games, he was about like 1K price difference last game. He's been about a 1K price difference all series. For the first time, it's about 400 apart. But I'm with you. I'd buy on Pascal. I'd buy on SGA. Yes.
Fathead, who are we talking about here? The real question is, who is he covering tonight?
Pacers and Thunder. You taking the Thunder -5?
Oh, my bad. Covering. Yeah, I was like, I thought he meant like defense, Rubio. I thought he meant like defense. I thought we were talking about a specific player, and he's like, the real question is, who is, I don't know, J-Dub playing on defense.
Now. -6 OKC. Jeez.
I mean, man, it's tough. I thought that, the Pacers could hang in last time, and I was right because I felt like game 3 was the tougher spot for them. The problem is, I feel like still, and I don't know, Rubio, if you get this feeling, but does it feel like to you, even though Indiana's up 2-1, doesn't it feel like all the pressure's still on OKC? I mean, they were like they were 10-1 favorites or 8-1 favorites or something like that. And they're young. Like, they're a bunch of young, kids. I get it. They're great, but they're still young. You know what I mean? It just feels to me like all the pressure is on them. So I probably take the Pacers because, man, they're never out of it. And I don't feel like this game's a blowout. Kind of like I didn't feel like last game was going to be a blowout, So
it's funny that you mentioned it, right? Like, it's just the fact is that OKC was -500, -600 coming into the series. I ended up betting the Pacers at +475, right? Because I'm a Pacers fan. Right? I thought blindly there. And right now, they're still -235. Like, the pressure is completely on them. They have an all-time season, right? They have 68 wins. They waltz through the regular season. They feel like they, suffered their greatest test against the Nuggets, right? And they get through it. They beat the former MVP in 7. They beat the best player in basketball in 7 games. They kill the Wolves, which debatable whether they should have even been there because the Warriors got
dominated them.
And I think they came in and just thought they would kick the Pacers' ass. And this is the same thing that probably the Cavs faced, right? The Knicks faced. They any team that came in and played. I'm telling you, man, it's every single team you named. Everything ran through their best player. Yep. So, in OKC's mind, if we can slow that guy down, it makes everything else harder. The Pacers are not like that because their best player, he's the facilitator. He's not doing everything. Jokic does everything. Ant does everything. He's the facilitator.
And I think that's why it just doesn't, even if you take out Halliburton, it doesn't fuck the team up because they're like used to it. They're like, okay, you're going to let Pascal be the guy or Benny Mathurin or Obi Toppin. Like, okay, we'll take what you give us. If you give us these guys and they have to go make plays, we trust our guys. And they literally trust their guys all the way down to like, what was Benny Math, that 8th or 9th guy? He didn't even play until the second quarter.
He was the 9th guy to come in, and that was the craziest part too. It's just he ended up absolutely crushing because of it.
Yeah, it's crazy. All right, so I put J-Dub at 39. I put Siakam slightly ahead at 40, just because, like I said, like he lost run and he still got there, and he's still home. Chet is the question. I mean, Chet had 38, and he was awesome. I'm going low. Yeah, I'm going low on Chet. I don't like Chet. I don't like Miles Turner.
This is the funny part, though, JSU, is like when you're playing an SGA captain, like I'm very curious to see with us bumping them down, how much of them do we get? Because they're the only mid-range guys. They're the only guys in between 7 and 9.8K. So it's like there's going to be some lineups where it's just process of elimination that you're going to have either one of those guys. Miles might have been in the winner in game 1 too. I can't remember completely the optimal lineup, but it's funny because he can get there with like 26 or 27.
Well, I was going to say, should I put him at like 26 then?
Yeah, get him at 26. Carlisle will always trust him. And, the biggest thing too, excuse my language, he bitched Chet in that fourth quarter. There was a possession that Chet couldn't get a shot up against him, and I think he blocked his stuff twice. And I think that was the moment too where Chet just looked completely winded, and Miles just pumped up the crowd, and Indy didn't even look back then.
Yeah, and you're right. Like Miles Turner, as much as I don't like him in the series, and honestly, as much as he hasn't really played that great in the series, he doesn't need to have massive games to have a chance at being on the winner with, like you said, the mid-range, which I don't like. I mean, you got Andrew Nembhard, who's running around with SGA for the majority of the game, and it's kind of, I think, affecting him a little bit offensively because I'm sure he's a little more tired when you've got to constantly, like last series, he played on Brunson some, but it was more Nesmith, and Nesmith took the brunt, I felt like, whereas this series, Nemhard's kind of taking more of the brunt of that, and I think it's slowing him down a little bit. He's 6,800 though, Rubio, and like you said, the mid-tier is not good. A modest projection could land him in the winner or in your optimal.
Game 2, he was a lock to be in the optimal upside after the first half. I think he had 21 or 22 fantasy points in the first half. Dudded the second half. Wasn't in the winner. But he's still, if you glass half full guy, he got 21 and a half. If you're a glass half empty guy, he only got 6 in the second half. I think it's a very fair 25 or a 24 where he's below Miles, but still very much in the mix. This could be the theme going forward. If we think this game plays tight, some of these projections do feel slightly inflated too, where you're just like, if we think that this game could go under, what was the total? I know the total last game was like 228 or whatever. The total this game is 227 and a half, so very similar. But I do think like there's going to be some, I would say, poor performances from the 6K range in terms of DFS points.
So where are you putting Nemhard? You 25, 26?
25. I think 25 is a very fair number. It puts him right in line where we'll probably end up with a lot more of him than Miles. For those people who use the Sims, what you're going to notice here is because we have a lot of red here, it's going to favor the guys who are green a lot. So, one thing I do make sure to do is, we have our, Saber Sim stuff. It's like you save a set of projections. So that way the biases aren't completely there. Which we'll do, on our own time and stuff. But it will be interesting with a lot of red on the screen already, how the build's going to shake out.
So Aaron Nesmith, Alex Caruso. I like Caruso. I want to bump Caruso up.
That's the number one guy we're buying today, right? Is Caruso 6,400?
Do you want to get him ahead of Turner? Do you want to get him slightly ahead of him?
Because he was optimal. He's been crushing. I mean, that's the one thing that should be said. And we'll get to it later too. But it's like, why did Isaiah Joe barely play, right? And he hit 2 threes. He was 2 for 2 from deep, right? But also it's like, can you really afford to take Caruso off? 32 minutes last game, right? 25 fantasy points. We could easily see 35 minutes tonight, I think. And I think you're in agreement. You said it, kind of earlier in the show. The minutes for Caruso have a very strong chance of trending up. He's already been crushing 31, 26, 25.
They are kind of trending up, honestly. So, yeah, I mean, Caruso's going to have some – honestly, like – when I watched that game too, I was like, Caruso's doing like, he must be doing just okay. He ended with 24, and I thought he ended with like 18, to be honest with you.
Only
Just
5
like
shots.
watching the game.
Yeah. Only
Yeah.
5 shots in that game. And there's a chance, and this happened in the Denver series too. And again, they're completely different teams. I don't want to completely compare that series, but I do like to look how coaches adjust. Who didn't play a ton in game 4 of that, Denver Thunder series? Well, it was Lou Dort, actually, because he was shooting so poorly. Caruso's a guy that Daignault will trust through and through, and especially in a matchup where the backs are against the wall, championship experience, everything. You can say all the cliches you want. Caruso's the guy, though, 64. He's the best mid-range play.
They were using Caruso on like their bigs, so it was also helping them there. But yeah, no, Lou Dort wasn't as effective in that series, so Caruso was. But the fact that they don't want to go double big in this series kind of tells you that Caruso, on that standpoint alone, has a good chance. And then if you add what you're kind of talking about in where maybe he takes a few more minutes from a Lou Dort, and Lou Dort's minutes go from 35, 36 to 30 even, and you take 5 minutes from him, that's a massive bump right there. So
and
minutes could come from him. They could come from Casey Wallace. They could come from not playing Isaiah Joe at all, or not playing Aaron Wiggins 10 minutes and only playing him 5 or 6. So there's places to take if you really want to push the minutes of these guys.
And real quick, just on that note too, and like I know that we talked about Chet already, but kind of want to bring this up is that I think you had the same sentiment too, but it's like Chet looked gassed in that fourth quarter last game. It was a very high 33 minutes. Game 1, he barely played, right? That was the biggest storyline is what's happening with Chet? Why did he barely play in game 1? Daignault's got to get a way to get them both in the court. Hartenstein, he's been very serviceable in his minutes. I think he had a really poor first half last game and stuff. But if you were looking at a 1K guy who could come off the bench and spell someone for a little bit, it could be Jalen Williams at 1K, right? Like, I'm just trying to think outside the box of guys who, if we gave a 1-point projection, how would that look at the end, right?
Yeah, I think you could leave him in your pool of 150. I guess you never know. Hartenstein comes in, he gets a couple quick fouls really fast, and maybe they don't want to go right back to Chet. Or, Chet's tired. Don't forget, too, Chet had an injury. He came back in the middle of the season, and they were being very careful with his minutes. I mean, very careful. Like, rarely was he getting like 30-plus minutes. And listen, this is the NBA Finals. So this is the 4th series now for this team. That's a lot of extra basketball for someone like Chet. You know what I mean? So I do think if someone were to wear down, it would be the skinny pole, 7-foot, dude who came in halfway through the year, and they were really babying him with the minutes because I think they were being super careful. I forget if he had a hip injury. I can't remember what the injury was, but they were being very careful with him and splitting him and Hartenstein's minutes. So that'll be interesting.
It's the most games he's played in his life, and
it could be Kenrich over Jalen with the Y, 100%.
And that's what I'm wondering too, because we saw Kenrich barely play last game, right? And it's one of those things where Daignault has been a guy who you can't really predict what he's doing, right? AJ Mitchell in game 1 was a travesty. Any other slate, though, if you were to tell me I was getting 4 AJ Mitchell minutes tonight, I'd be like, I'm all in. I'm shoving the chips all in. But
listen,
I
wouldn't be shocked if Kenrich didn't play tonight, and I wouldn't be shocked if he got 10 or 12 minutes. That's the thing with Daignault, that's what makes the slate like interesting, though, right? Is there's some guesswork that you really have to put in if you want one of these cheap guys. You can do the mid-tier captain route where you don't have to think about the cheap range, but I think a lot more people than normal are going to do those routes on this slate after what happened last time. So, all right, Neesmith. I mean, we got SaberSim's got him at 23. We got him at like 24.7. I think, honestly, I kind of lean more the SaberSim projection, like 23-ish. But,
I agree.
Yeah. Hartenstein, 20. I see it. What?
He's the toughest guy to project. 5,800 is one of those prices where he's going to hit a lot. We're going to have a lot of Caruso and stuff, but it's kind of a dead range. I think he should be way better than Lou Dort and stuff. But I think you're going to be like sneakily have like 40% Neesmith. I guess this is good.
Yeah, and Lou Dort's another guy. Like even when he's hitting threes, he's still not like that great. Like last game, he was hitting threes, and you're like, oh crap, Lou Dort. It could be a Lou Dort game. He ended with 19, and you're like, what the hell? He went 4 for 5 from three, but he did nothing really else. And he ended with 19 fantasy points, is 5,200. So that's interesting. Hartenstein's ahead of him slightly. I see some people in the chat talking about Hartenstein. He did get some foul trouble pretty quick. And he got like a quick hook, I'm pretty sure, Rubio in the last game. But
it was a pretty quick hook, yeah. It was because Chet was also playing really, really well. And
right.
I don't really tried to ride the hot hand. I like this comment too. It's just this is a good tidbit. Last time, the second time all postseason, Chet saw 35 minutes of his last game. The only other time was game 3 against Denver, and that was overtime. So yeah, I think I like Hartenstein a lot, or Hartenstein a lot. I mean, 4,800 is cheap. And you have to think about it too, JSU. It's like he's going to get the same minutes as Toppin, as McConnell, as Matherin. He's going to be in that
ballpark. Same minutes as Toppin. I don't. Maybe.
Well, what if I said 18 minutes?
Toppin got 28 minutes in one game, 19 in the second. In the first game, he got 25.
I would say 19 minutes for all those guys is very fair. Toppin has had a hot hand, and the bench had a hot hand last game, but it's like still at the end of the day, he's still behind.
And Miles Turner's been back and forth iffy, and I don't know if he's sick. I know there was a report like, oh, he's got this illness, whatever. And maybe that's what it is. Maybe they're being careful with him because he's got an illness, and on top of it, Obi's playing well, so they don't have to push Miles. But I will just say the rotation was different, right? What they did with the bigs, just in general last game, from what I've seen from Carlisle. And obviously they don't have Jarris Walker either. So that kind of takes that out. Tony Bradley got banged up in the last series, even though I don't think he fits the series. But like he's kind of got slimmer options maybe than normal. But I think he does a similar thing again, which I think puts Obi in more the mid-20s range than it does the low 20s or like 19, 18 range.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, that would be the thing. If you were to say 19 minutes for Hartenstein tonight, I would be buying. And, you're right about Toppin. I mean, if this is kind of a series where you saw, I mean, who was it that touched on it in game 1? But it was Richard Jefferson, I think. Is like what OKC made the change to go away from Hartenstein in the starting lineup to Casey Wallace, right? And that had to have the Pacers feeling good. The Pacers would definitely prefer to have Toppin out there. Miles Turner is great. But if that means no double big lineups for OKC, and they'll throw Toppin out there in place of Miles without too much concern. You're probably right. Toppin's minutes is probably very, I wouldn't say safe for a bench player, but I mean it's very close to it.
So me personally, I'm going to have him slightly ahead of Hart.
Yeah, I like it.
Even just one ahead, just to have him slightly ahead in the value ranking. I still think we're going to get a decent amount. Lou Dort, I'm just always lower on. So just always
4 for 5 from deep and sucked from a DFS standpoint. And I asked this question, and I tell people, I really love the Pacers and stuff. But like when Lou Dort took a clutch time 3 last game, it was like, hell yeah, he's shooting the rock. I was like, oh, good, let him shoot. If he shoots poorly, you have to ask yourself, right? Like Lou Dort is an all defensive player, right? Well, if you're not going to shut down Halliburton, he's going to put 29-11 on your head, and he's one of the primary defenders on him. Like I could easily see him losing minutes like he did in that Denver series and opting for more shooting. The problem was Isaiah Joe barely playing last game, despite hitting his only 2 threes.
That's the problem, and also the problem of them not wanting to go big. So they lose one of the options off the rip. So they really only have like one other option, and I just don't know if they're comfortable with those options on the road. Big game, they're down, but we'll see. I mean, I will say though, Casey Wallace, I'm going to like TJ. So like for me, I'm bumping TJ up.
Let's play this game too, where like we may think that Caruso gets bumped to the starting lineup. Let's bump down Casey Wallace just a bit, right? Just for theory, And obviously,
what do you want him at? 14?
Yeah, 14 is perfect. Right below Benny. And, Casey Wallace, if he were to stay in the starting lineup, he's still a fine play at 3,800 and stuff. But I think there will be a lineup change because, they kind of made that lineup change before the series even started. And it's one of those things where I feel like Dagnall's not committed to Kaysen as much as he is the other guys, right? Like he could bring back Hartenstein, or he could bring back, Caruso, or bring Caruso into the starting lineup. But again, if nothing changes, I'm still going to be lower on Kaysen overall, though.
That makes sense. I can totally see that. Home road splits versus shots. Yeah. Pretty bad. So, all right. Benny Math, you want to put him ahead of Kaysen and Dort, or do you want to put him with Dort?
I'd put him with Dort, and just because the minutes can be very volatile for him, right? Like, not appearing until the second quarter last game, absolutely nuked. And, you want to hear a fun fact, JSU? He's been my core player 3 times in a row. He won't be a core piece tonight at 4K because last game was too cheap, but I did think that this was a Benny Mathurin series. And 4K is tall tag, but he was a lottery pick for a reason.
His problem is Ben Shepherd, though. That's been his problem. That's why, because in theory, Benny Math should be the first or second guy off the bench, like easily.
I would almost say
it's
just himself, though. He's his own biggest enemy because he can just do some stupid stuff on a court.
But no, they're prioritizing defense. I think they did the same thing last series. That's what they did kind of last series. Where I thought Benny Mathurin should have played more, and he didn't play as much as I thought. And it's probably the same
thing. Head of the other team too. He's the one guy on the Pacers who's talking trash all the time.
I bet you too. He's like the one guy off the bench that other teams actually are afraid of.
Yes.
Like even though TJ's great and we talk about him, no one's afraid of him. No one's afraid of Obi Toppin. Yep. No one's afraid of Thomas Bryant, Ben Shet. I bet Benny Math is the only guy players are like, oh shit, we got to think about this dude when he comes in because he can drop 20 on me really fast.
His athleticism just stands out this series. And you see, obviously he's the 8th guy for the Pacers, right? Like he's the 8th guy for them, but like athletically, he is their most athletic player. And when he had that block, I think it was game 1, where he blocked Jalen Williams on a drive to the rim and absolutely stuffed it.
I mean, he may be the 8th guy, but like talent-wise,
yes,
he's more like 3.
Yeah, 100%. And that's what I was kind of getting to. Like he was a top guy for a reason in the draft. And
I do think him and Carlisle probably butt heads a little bit because of his on and off style with his game, and it's not as consistent. And sometimes he looks like he's just out there, floating around, just chilling on the wing. But when he's aggressive, he's definitely like the 3rd guy on that team, like 100% talent-wise. All right, so the rest of these, Rubio, Aaron Wiggins at 12, Ben Shepherd at 6, Isaiah Joe at 6, Thomas Bryant, Kenrich Williams. I mean, like those are the main guys. What do you want to do with like this range here, this really cheap range?
All right, just because I really think that this is an important range. I don't want to completely gloss over it, but I think we bump Wiggins down a little bit, right? Is there a path to Wiggins getting more minutes than he already has? I don't think the answer is yes. I think it would take a very hot shooting performance.
The path would be Kaysen Wallace not starting, and them starting someone like
I think they value Kaysen's defense a lot, right? Like,
I do too, yeah.
And if that path happens, like I honestly think like it could be more Isaiah Joe, right? Where like 2 for 2 from deep, but like then again 4 minutes and he hits both his threes and then never sees the court again. It's weird. I think Shepherd has to get a bump up just because if there's a guy on the Pacers bench or if there's a guy in this game 2K below who you're confident in will get at least 12 minutes, it's Ben Shepherd. And like that's too cheap of a tag. I think he'll be like 20%, 25%.
Where do you want me to put him at? 8, 9, 10? Where do you want me to put him
9. Let's get him a 9, below Wiggins, but well above anyone else. Do
we think Thomas Bryant plays more than 3 minutes?
No, I think it's Toppin. I think they're committed to the small ball, but let's do this. Let's put Brian at 2, right? Or 3. I think 3 is safe. 3 is a good number. If he were to get 3 minutes, 3 fantasy points is very fine. Kenrich, let's put at 2, because I think his role in the rotation is a little bit shaky where it wouldn't shock us if he DMP'd. It wouldn't shock us. If you want to keep him even with Bryant, that's cool too.
But I'm going to keep him even. Yeah. I personally, honestly, I don't think he's safer than Bryant, honestly, but I personally like him just because of the risk factor and the factor that we talked about where, if we think there's a lineup change, you never know. There could be a bench rotation change a little bit for someone like Kenrich. So, and Kenrich is all the youth on this team, like Kenrich, Caruso, these are veterans. So it wouldn't shock me if Daigneault kind of leaned towards some of his veterans for a few extra minutes.
100%. And you look at Isaiah Joe. I want your opinion on him because I'm lost for words on not lost for words in just like the sense of like why is he not playing? Because I understand that they're really deep in the wings and stuff, but it's like he hits both his damn threes. I actually fear him when he shoots the ball. As a Pacers fan, when Isaiah Joe gets the ball in space, he runs a little like just. It's not even a thing where he just sets a screen for Isaiah or for SGA to kind of get get like Nemhard off of him or something, and then he just catches a bounce pass and pulls up. Like it's.
Because he's a true shooter.
He's like, their best, he's their best shooter.
But look at all the other guys though, like Cason Wallace, Aaron Wiggins, Lou Dort. These are not true shooters. Correct. Isaiah Joe is a true shooter. He's going out there looking to pull from three. That's his game, and that's what he's going to do. And he's way better at it than all these other guys. So, like, yeah, of course, you much rather any of those other guys shooting threes than Isaiah Joe. The problem with Isaiah Joe is they play him during blowout a lot, so they obviously don't value him as much as we think. But they also, if they're not hitting shots, they will go to him.
Yes.
You know what I mean? So that's the thing. It's probably like more of a feel-out play. Like if you think the Pacers get up early and you think OKC starts out flat, maybe it's more of an Isaiah Joe game than we think.
And that's this is probably like, you know, one of the more logical things is Isaiah Joe's too small, right? Like he can't guard Mathurin, right? Which because Mathurin kind of comes in, he plays a 2 to 3, right? His minutes, you know, are affected by either a Shepherd or a Nesmith, but Mathurin still put up 27 on your head, right? Like you know, you need offense out there too, and this Pacers defense can be really sneaky.
Yeah, but you got to remember these teams both are prioritizing defense on their. You know,
I'm gonna ask you this too, because like just for the sake of me being on the show, can you bump Jalen Williams up to 1 point? All right, and then I want to do this. Do you want to keep Isaiah Joe at 6.17? Is that where you kind of want to?
Johnny Furphy out though.
So I was gonna say this too. Include them. Can you actually uncheck him and put him at 0.01 because he did get blowout minutes in game 2, right? And we're only going to do this for a few players, right? Just 0.1's fine. Yeah, AJ Mitchell 0.1. And we're just going to do this for just a couple players because I want to see at the end, do they pop into the optimal? Jalen Williams, a full 1 point for me. I just think that just because of how well he played in the Denver series.
What do we decide on Isaiah Joe? 6, lower, higher?
Let's get him at 5. I think 5's a very happy medium. There's a chance he DNPs, but there's also a chance he gets 10 minutes.
I like Kenrich over him, but me personally, but that's fine. I'll leave him at 5. All right, so I got a couple 0.1s. I got Jalen with the Y at 1. Perfect. Let's run this thing. You don't touch like the min-max, right? Like this is fine.
Okay. Hit the 5,000 for the build lineups all the way to the left there. It takes like 2 extra seconds to do that. I'm surprised it's not the default anymore.
Oh, and I think I figured out the scroll issue. For anyone who is having that like auto scroll issue, shout out to Andy from Saber Sim. He helped me out. I think I figured it out. So I'll show you guys real quick as this thing's building here. But apparently, if you go up to this, you guys see where my cursor is right here, the toggle full screen mode. You want to click this. And this should help that issue, so you don't have that auto pull back up issue. And I'll show it in a sec once this thing's finished building here, and I'll show it real quick. But that was something that was annoying me and Big T, and then it is kind of funny that it might just be this simple of a fix that we didn't figure it out. But shout out to Andy for helping me figure that one out there. But
I lied to you, JSU. It usually takes me 2 seconds. Your Saber's going slow, man. I'm sorry for that. We can end it.
Going really slow.
We can hit stop build it. The worst part was I couldn't see how many builds it was at, but I'm still thinking it's taking a while. It was the worst thing to show me only 1,400 were made at the time.
By the way, while this thing is building here, listen. I'm not saying I'm right about everything, but I did give out one prop on the show yesterday. It was plus money, or a couple days ago. Tyrese Halliburton over on threes. I think he hit it easily. I think like his third 3 was in the early third quarter or something like that. But when that number is like 2.5, that is way too low for someone like Tyrese Halliburton. Just hit that thing every time when you see a number like 2.5 and you're getting plus money on something like that. Because like I said, the guy shoots 7 to 10 threes majority of the time, and he's at home. Ruby, I thought that was crazy. You're getting plus money on a prop like that. Let's see what his number is now.
Especially
here.
after saying he was going to be more aggressive, more assertive. And, you know.
Okay, so now it's minus 110. It went from plus 110 last game to minus 110. It's still over 2.5, though, for a guy who's shooting the ball 8 threes, 8 threes, 7 threes, 5, 2, 12, 8, 10, 12, 10. Like, I mean, you're going to get some double-digit. He hasn't even taken double-digit threes yet in this series. It's been 8, 8, and 7, which is still a good amount, honestly.
Oh, yeah.
You give me 8, 8, and 7, I think it's fine to take a shot. We're halfway through the build process here. I thought we were gonna. We tried to get us out in time. We didn't do a good job of it for the baseball show. I apologize for anyone who wanted to get over there and watch the baseball show. We'll be wrapping this thing up in a sec. Rubio, do you see anything you like with the props?
I actually, what was the one that I said earlier? It was Chet unders are something that I'm going to keep hitting. Definitely going to hit Chet unders. There was one earlier I said to 40 points for SGA. I like SGA to be really aggressive tonight. He's going to be one of my.
Chet under 15.5. SGA 40.5 points. Tyrese Halliburton over on threes. That's plus 800.
I like it. You know,
if you got a little boost action on DK.
So I'm going to ask you a question here. All right. And this is a fun one for SGPs. What if you took the under with a 40 plus SGA thing and the Halliburton over on threes? I feel like the multiplier would almost get us to 25-1.
Wait, what'd you say?
If you took the under with those three, what is the odds?
Oh, the under on the game. 22-1.
See, I figured it would be really like, what is that? The anti-correlation, right? You know,
yeah, because you're going over on a bunch of things, well, 2 things, I guess, and then you're taking under on the game. So,
and if you took over, I bet it's only 14-1. I think it would be
in theory, like rooting against overtime, right? Which could hurt SGA. Like rooting
what
against.
What you're hoping for is SGA goes, prime Kobe and just takes every shot, and it's possible. And the game ends up like 108, 104.
Which is definitely obviously possible. So Siakam point down under.
These last 1,400 builds don't matter. Let's hit the stop build. It's going to be, I always hit stop build if I'm crunched on time. We got 3,600.
Good job, Rubio. Good job. You said it was
I got 1,600 more, baby. Come on.
All right. So again, see the auto right there? Just did it to me. So you go up here, toggle full screen mode, click that, and it should totally fix the issue. Here, let's just try. See? Nice. Issue fix. All right, let's get to
that was some good
Rubio,
TV.
do you want to run the Sims real quick?
Yeah, why not run the Sims? And what you can do too, for anyone who's not done the Sims or ever wants to try out the contest Sims, you can upload all your contests into the Saber Sim.
Yeah, I didn't even upload my stuff yet, but
and it's so easy. Like I will have completely different sets for the 20 max $4 versus the $25 tonight.
Okay, this is done, Rubio. So this is what we got here.
That's a hot lineup right there.
Yeah, so well, this was in 20 builds. I don't know. Give me 20.
It's looking like my exposure from last game, 95-5.
Yeah. All right, so I just did 150. Here we go. So we got 64% SGA. Pascal's at 14. This is captain ownership. Yep. Caruso at 4, Toppin at 3, TJ at 3. What do you think? This is, I mean, it's kind of like 2 of the guys we're highest on, and so it makes sense.
Caruso captain looks like. I want to see what a Caruso captain looks like, and that's what it would be: a 4-2 Pacers. You go double big for the Pacers, which was optimal in game 1. I don't love that. I'll be honest.
I love it.
Yeah, I don't love it.
Ben Shepherd as my last guy with the Caruso captain doesn't make me feel good.
I think if you know what would make you feel good about it though is if you went from Miles Turner to like Jalen Williams, and then you would go down from
that would make me feel better. Yes, that would make.
You have plenty of room with Nemhard. You can go down to like McConnell or something like that.
Yeah. I mean, I never really like these cheap captains, and I assume they're all kind of the same thing. So yeah, I mean, either way, that was the captain ownership, and then util. I mean, we got 58% Pascal, 40% TJ, SGA 34, pretty much almost lock SGA. Neesmith, you were right. Even though we didn't like him, we got 34% Neesmith, Tyrese at 32, Caruso at 32.
We're low on him. Like, not low, but like we're definitely going to be higher than the field with this sense. But it just shows you.
Honestly, do I have to bump Caruso up 1 or 2 more points? Because I felt like I was going to get more Caruso, and it just didn't give it to me.
So this is the thing that I ran into in game 1, JSU, was like when I locked SGA in, right? When you have so much SGA captain, it's so tough to get a heavy on any utility, right? And that's going to be like the theme tonight is that I think we have 100% SGA, right? He's like, what, 64% the captain.
We got about 99% SGA.
And it's so tough to get higher on anyone else because what it's doing is like, well, you can't. How many SGA captain builds plus Caruso can you make that are viable? And it's not that many, right? You're going to
tell you what I don't like about it though: 16% Johnny Furthy, 10% Mitchell. I don't love that.
Can we play a game here? Can you actually sort it by projected score? All right. So if you can sort this stuff by projected score, and then I want to see, are we getting any Furphy? Are we getting any AJ Mitchell? Because if the answer is no, they're not viable tonight.
So here's the projected score. Okay, look, with projected score, this is kind of the way I pictured my exposures being, to be honest with you. You got Pascal, Benny Math, TJ, Caruso, Toppin. Those are like 5 of our favorite players right there. And this is why I like the projected score. It's going to give you more of like your true thoughts when you're playing with the projections, obviously. So you can see that. But let's go down and play your game real quick. It gives us.
I want to see. So it's all the same lineup, I bet. They're all going to be back to back to back to back. What rank is it? 71. Why is it 71? You can't play anyone else other than those guys, right? So they're all going to be ranked 71. They're all going to have the same projection as 209.1. And what it is, well, it's our McConnell, it's our Matherin, it's that double stack, right? Where you're getting that double bench stack, and it's Scott Siakam in it. I mean, it's a good team. I mean, like, look, I played WNBA where I intentionally took a 0 the other day, and I know it's completely different. It's like, and it ended up doing really well because you're just getting different. No one's going to want to just take a 0.
Look at that, though, Rubio. 70% captain for SGA, 12, and then it gives us just a little bit, 5% or less of all these other, mostly cheaper guys at captain, which is probably exactly.
Team, like if you were just to build out like a cash lineup or something, if there was a lineup change, it's really rock solid.
This is like a main team type build right there. That's for sure. And I know we don't like Kaysen, but like I like this team under it. Like
you can't hate on it. I mean, obviously that was Kaysen over Matherin, right? That was like the thing there.
Right.
I don't, if you're playing SGA captain, can you do a 5-1 Pacers? I don't know if I want to do that tonight, but like if you think
I don't think it's going to be optimal, but could you cash with it? Yeah, maybe. Yeah, will it be unique too? Maybe. Yeah.
It'll be a fun. I can't wait for this game tonight. I mean, it's genuinely one of the best series that we've had, so it should be a lot of fun, man.
I think if I was making 1 or 3 teams, I probably wouldn't have it, or 5 or 10 teams. But if I'm making 20, 50, I could do it. You know what I mean? I could have 1-5-1 team or a couple, depending on how many you're doing. If you're playing 150 for sure. So, Drum, where's my guy, your guy, Big T? He is on the golf course. I thought he was going to be done in time, but he must have got jammed up on the golf course. So he's on his golf trip that he does every year. So, that's where he was. He tried to get here. I know that, but, stuff comes up. He'll be back on Monday for the next show here. But Rubio, I think we did a pretty good job. We went through all these exposures, definitely talked through the whole slate. I mean, final thoughts here before we get out of here.
I think this is going to be the most tight game that we've had, the most intense. You thought game 3 was like that. I think this game is going to be one that both teams feel like is do or die. And I know that, teams can come back from 3-1. We've seen it before. The Pacers are going to be up 3-1. There's just something that tells me.
Who you got? Who you got tonight? You got OKC. You got the Pacers.
I think the body language of the Thunder in that fourth quarter, we're like, holy cow, we found a team that is tougher than us, a team that just berated us physically and just ended up being, they're healthier in the fourth quarter, faster in the fourth quarter. And for that reason, JSU, I'm going with the upset pick. I'm taking the Pacers. I got my bias glasses on, but this Pacers team has done it to every opponent they faced, and every opponent has the same reaction. By the fourth quarter, their legs are done. The Pacers' legs keep turning. I'm going to go 111-108 Pacers.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you. I think this game is tight. I think all the pressure's on OKC. Could totally be wrong. SGA might just show that he's the MVP tonight and drop 40 plus, like Rubio said, and dominate, and they come to play. And maybe finally the role players for the Pacers all don't have good games or something like that. But I think the Pacers, with the pressure being on the other team and the Pacers up 2-1 at home, it's tough for me not to take the Pacers here. I think they cover. I think it's a close game. And in close games, the Pacers just find a way to win. It's honestly, I did not think this is what was going to happen this series. I was completely wrong with the Pacers and OKC. I thought OKC, their defense, their pressure, the way they turn them over was going to be too much. And it's not, you know what I mean? It's not, because these role guys are so fucking good and they've just played up when they've needed to. So yeah, we'll both be on the Pacers. Hopefully, I kind of hope I'm wrong, because I want 7 games now. Now that it's not like a complete like blowout type series, I want 7 games, because I want 7 DFS slates. I want, as many more basketball games as we can get, because once this series is over, we're obviously out of basketball for a good chunk. So yeah, I hopefully we get a few more DFS slates, because Showdown's been awesome. It's been great fun. Hope you guys enjoyed the show. The MLB show should be going on right now. So if you want to switch over to the MLB show, go right ahead. It's on this channel. Those guys are breaking down the slate for tonight. Don't forget the king of, what is it? I was going to say king of the court. The king of the course for PGA. If you haven't bet it yet, you still have time to bet it. It's a $5 minimum. You're betting the player you think can land with the most birdies on day 3 and 4. So it has nothing to do with today and yesterday. If you're playing golf, it has everything to do with rounds 3 and 4. You're betting a person who you think can get the most birdies in rounds 3 and 4 combined.
I have a hot take on that, JSU.
You got a hot take?
The rain is hitting. All right, you take a guy starting in the morning tomorrow, all right? Starting early in the morning, the course is going to be a lot softer.
Yes.
These greens aren't going to run as fast.
That's what I'm talking about, Rubio. I want a guy down towards the cut line.
On the cut line.
That's what I want. Yes, 100%. Why? Because they are going to be firing, trying to get up. Like the guys towards the top, they're going to be playing tighter for sure. And obviously it's a tougher course. Obviously that's why you're seeing so many tough
guys go
scores.
low all the time. Like Fleetwood's the king at going off on a Sunday. Like,
yeah.
I hope
not just like Fleetwood though. There's like all these type. Like I haven't looked at the leaderboard in a little bit. I know that some guys, but like how many times do you see like Mav McNeely out of nowhere have like he shoots like a 61 or 62 one day. And you're like, wait a second, I didn't even see him, and now he's like sitting 7th or something like that going into Sunday.
What's the winner of the king of the course? It's probably going to be about 12 birdies. I think that's the number that you're going to want. Guys can shoot even all the time with 12 birdies. Ask Jordan Spieth. He could have 6 birdies and shoot even on those 2 rounds.
Yeah, I'm with you though. You want a guy that's down towards the bottom, almost got cut, and they're just like, screw it, I'm going for it. I'm so far down. And
a lot of people are going to gravitate toward like a Rahm at the top, right? Or a guy like Sam Burns and stuff. Brooks Koepka.
Because you're betting them to win, right, Rubio? So again, people are betting. It's the same thing with the baseball one, the King of the Diamond, which is also tonight, by the way. That's also a $5 minimum, and you parlay 5 home runs. But you don't see how many people I see on Twitter, and these are sharp people too. People I know, people I'm friends with. I know they're sharp, but they're telling people to like parlay 3 home run guys. And they're like Corbin Carroll, Pete Alonso, and like one other really good popular hitter. And it's like, no, that's not how you play it. You're just taking your 33% boost and hoping you hit a 3-thing home run parlay. You shouldn't be trying to hit the parlay. You should be trying to hit the random fuck who hits a home run and you win a share of $1 million with like 8 guys.
Yep. You're trying to you're playing the $5 bet to win maybe a 10K bonus bet, right? And you probably don't go too mainstream. You don't go like, DeChambeau is probably taking a lot on like Wednesday and Thursday when this happened, right? So DeChambeau probably has a lot of guys already on him. But if you were to take someone like, I don't want to say another mainstream name or whatever, but it's like, hey, what if I took, a guy, Akshay Bhatia, right? Where he's on the cut line and stuff. Not a lot of people probably backed him for a win. That's the type of strategy that you kind of want to go for. You don't want to dupe your picks with other people.
Think about it though. Like people are going to see John Rahm at 25-1. Yeah. They're going to see, Morikawa at 40, Xander at 35. Scotty Scheffler's 9-1 right now. I don't know about that. Bryson's at 80-1. Like they're going to see these numbers and they're going to be like, why wouldn't I use you mean I can bet Bryson at 80-1 and use my birdie thing? But people are going to do that because they want to hit the sick Bryson 80-1 when he comes back and he has all these birdies on top of it. And it's like, no, that's going to be popular, like very popular.
100%.
Not considering all the people that already bet Bryson pre the tournament starting using this code. And I'm like, I was telling people, I was like, don't use it now. You're using it for round 3 and 4. What if you use it on a guy and he's dead before round 3 and 4 starts? Like, you don't know.
100%, Jace. You completely agree.
So, long story short, bet guys that are down, they just made the cut, and don't worry about trying to win like the guy who's going to win it all. Just think of a guy who can get hot. They struggled maybe a couple days. They're lower. And like Rubio said, they start early in the morning. It was wet, playing soft, and maybe they get a hot round and kind of, pick up some momentum from that. And it's the same thing with the King of the Diamond. Like, first of all, bet 5 guys. Always bet 5 guys. Just bet the minimum. You don't have to bet more than $5. And just try and hit the random fuck that hits a home run and team scores the most runs. So that's it for this show. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. I did enjoy talking some hoops with Rubio for a change. I got to get fucking Big T out of there. I listen to him constantly all the time. So it was good to change it up a little bit. But we'll be back our normal time on, I think it's Monday is the next game. So normal time on Monday, 10 a.m. Eastern time. Who knows what'll happen, but we'll see. Either the 3-1 Dogs, they get up 3-1 and looking good, or OKC can tie this thing up and maybe we get 7 out of it. So let's see. It should be a fun time. Rubio, thanks for hanging out with me, guys. Rump Your Sports, RPS 15 promo code, get you 15% off. I also think the JBC free week, if you want to use JBC 100K win, that'll get you a free week as long as you're not a member and you sign up for a month. So those are the things. JBC 100K win is the promo code for that. You have to sign up for a month and you'll get a week free on top of that. So you can check that out. You can use either one of those promo codes. Make sure you get in the Discord with us. Talk all sports. We got MMA tomorrow, 10 a.m. Eastern time, or not 10 a.m. Eastern time, 2 p.m. Eastern time for the MMA show. I think the card locks at 7. NASCAR, I'm sure all weekend. Rubio will be heading that up with stats and Big T getting you guys all the NASCAR winners.
Mexico.
All right. Get some NASCAR winners all weekend in Mexico. So join us, Rump Your Sports, RPS 15 or JBC 100K win, either one of those. And come hang out with us, talk sports. Until Monday, for Greg, I'm JSU. Good luck in your DraftKings contest and bets. Until Monday, we're out of here. Peace.